Good morning, everyone. It's time for Saturday morning with John and Gumby. I'm not sure where Gumby is. I think he's gotten a little lackadaisical and been coming in a little bit later every day. So I'm just going to move forward because it's 12:34, so I didn't get it done in the morning. But I'm going to move forward and then we'll just talk to Gumby about this next week, right? 93,316. That is my steps for the week. If you remember last week, it was like 88,200 and whatever. So clearly I've meeting my goal every week to run more steps. But you know what, guys? I think I'm going to change my goal. I think that instead of beating every day and doing more every day, I think I'm going to change my focus on to making sure that I extend the number of days I exceed 10,000 steps. So did you guys ever see that movie, or I'm sorry, that video? And I'll put a link into it in the email, but it's the 20-mile march, right? And it talks about two teams that had a race to the South Pole. And one of the teams just kind of, if it was a good day, they did a lot of they did a lot of miles. And if it was a storm or something like that, they might have hunkered down and stayed in their tent. And that was the English team. And then the Norwegian team, they kind of decided, said, you know what, no matter what the day is, we're going to go 20 miles. So 20 miles, 20 miles, 20 miles. Nice day, 20 miles. Crappy day, 20 miles, 20 miles, 20 miles. I'm going to do that same thing, right? I'm going to do 10,000 steps, 10,000 steps, 10,000 steps, 10,000 steps. Right now, I'm at 15 days consecutively with 10,000 steps or more. And I think, I hope that when we talk about this next week, I'm going to be at 22, right? And I would encourage you to do the same thing. Just kind of set your goals for the day and just recreate and redo and do it and move forward. And then next thing you know, for me, I'm hoping, right, my 10,000 steps a day kind of turns into maybe a little bit of fitness, maybe a little bit better sleep, maybe a little bit better heart rate, something like that. And then down the line, maybe that will translate into lost weight, things like that. So that's all I'm going to report to you guys moving forward, is making sure you guys hold me accountable. Am I getting my 10,000 steps in a day? All right. Why did I bring that up today? Well, because it feels like this March for PPP and EIDL, it's hard for me to set a goal. So I think what I just need to really get my mindset around is that I'm going to have to just march 20 miles a day, 20 miles a day, 20 miles a day, 20 miles a day to get to wherever this journey is. The journey is for the gentleman was the South Pole. For me, right now, I've decided that the goal for me is viability and strength July 2021. Everything I do is a 20-mile march to that goal, and that's what we're going to keep working on. So PPP update. PPP for me has turned out to be one of those things. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And after a couple of unfavorable emails from U.S. Bank in regards to our PPP application and processing, I reached out to some people I know in Kentucky and contacts I know with a bank in Kentucky. And lo and behold, in 4 hours, they got us done. I mean, they got it done so fast that they literally caught me flat-footed. And, I get a call Thursday night that says, I think you're going to get approved for PPP. And I get a call Friday morning and said, yeah, you got approved. We got your money. Which, when it comes to PPP, that means I got to start using it right now because I only have 8 weeks to create my forgiveness portion. And if you remember last week's video, we talked about the importance of creating forgiveness in our PPP to make sure that CIT would be successful and viable. Remember that March till July 2021, right? Not having enough loans that I have to make a month isn't a problem that I have. And if I don't implement and execute this PPP correctly, that turns into a loan. Not only does that turn into a loan, that dollar amount only gets amortized over 18 months to pay it back. So it could really roll downhill quickly. So I'll be working on this weekend, trying to figure it out and stuff like that. So what does that mean? For some of you, that means you'll be calling in and text. We have some people coming in Monday, right? And I want to thank them right now because I know actually the way this is structured and stuff, it's a little bit of an inconvenience for some of these folks, given the way the enhanced unemployment numbers are funding's coming in. But I appreciate their efforts to make sure that CIT can benefit in some of the programs that they're throwing out there. So some of you have been reached. Maybe some more people will get reached. The biggest thing is that we have to meet FTE load and we have to meet payroll load. Okay. So the easiest way that I can, and this isn't 100% what the rule is, but the easiest way that I can kind of say it is that those people who earn the most income in January and February of 2020 from CIT, that establishes the FTE load. And my obligation and responsibility is if they were still employees of mine at March 15th, I'm sorry, at April 15th, it's my responsibility to bring them in. And then it's my responsibility then to pay them. The way the formula is actually written is that I have to pay them 75% of what they earned from January 1, 2020 to March 31, 2020. So I have to pay 75% of that. So it's a little bit of politician math, right? So the politician math is I have 8 weeks, which is 66% of a quarter, but I have in that 8 weeks or that 66% of a quarter, I have to make sure I pay them 75% of a quarter's income. So that's all part of that math that you got to work out and stuff like that. But again, if those FTE loads that were heavy during January and February, those are the first people we're reaching out to as we bring this math together and so forth. So, like I said, some people are coming in Monday. I have no idea what I'm going to tell them Monday. That's what I'll spend the rest of today and tomorrow trying to figure out. And then some of you guys, we may be calling and reaching out to you too. So that's where we're at on that. EIDL, I'm hoping that's the next step, the next 20 miles I start pushing on, right? Getting that EIDL funding coming in and application. I have to decide a little bit because it's my understanding getting $500,000 from the EIDL is 500,000. I think if I said that right, is relatively easy. The problem with relatively easy is that if my goal is to get us to a stable point in July of 2021 in relevancy, I don't think 500,000 will do that. It's closer to 800 or 900. So once I start to engage with the SBA about the EIDL program, I will have to measure that risk as to say, is a bird in the hand worth two in the turn in the bush, or is my desire to be perfect going to get in the way of good, and stuff like that. So that's what we'll be doing on that. Lastly, I think some of you guys might have heard we're having as an industry, we're coming together, and there's going to be about 250 to 350 motor coaches that are going to do a parade around the Capitol in Washington, D.C. on May 13th or 16th. I can't remember right now, but on one of those days. And just to tell you, I'm not sending a bus. I can't, I'm in the process of trying to collect money, meaning get more coming in, and dropping a couple $1,000s to go and do that is not going to work well for us. David James, a friend of ours at BRT in Brecksville, Ohio, has offered to provide a bus that will represent the state of Iowa and there's a graphics company that's going to put some data in regards to the motor coach business in Iowa on that bus. And David's going to try to get our logo up on that bus, so we should be represented there. I'm thinking I'll drive over there and ride with David over to DC. It's a lot easier for me to take a car than it is to take a bus, and meet those expenses. I can stay at David's house and all those kinds of things. So that's kind of the exciting thing. The talk in the legislative world is that the next CARES package, they're looking at maybe a $15 billion program for the motor coach industry. The coolest thing that we have going for us right now is, let me read this, is the Department of Homeland Security has designated for-hire motor coach companies as essential and critical infrastructure. So that designation is really starting to resonate with some of our elected officials. What 15 billion looks like, I have no idea, right? What I just really hope for is that it looks like that they fully fund the EIDL and they don't put that a big barrier to get past 500,000, right? Because, as I explained earlier, for me, at 800,000 or 900,000, I think we'd be good and stuff like that. So that's what's going on in the industry. Besides that, I don't think anything else too new or exciting. Yeah, just I'll give you an update on what's happening with PPP and how it's going and what it's looking like. I'll give that next week, but I got a feeling that just kind of learning as we're going, sort of thing, and stuff. So with that, I guess we did the video. Gumby's is a no-show for us. So I guess I'm out. Semper Gumby, you guys have a great day.